Let's take a look at intersectionality in the workplace. The concept of intersectionality can help us better understand how forms of oppression and discrimination reinforce each other. Intersectionality is challenging because it forces us to think about human experiences holistically and systematically. Intersectional analysis forces us to look beyond a single variable of oppression and discrimination and towards understanding systems of oppression in which one form thereof reinforces and intensifies the effects of others. It can make us feel uncomfortable because thinking through the additive and systematic effects of discrimination is challenging, whether we want to take our organizations more just or to change public policy in ways that promote justice. Intersectional analysis matters because oppression and discrimination come in many forms as experienced by different people, and systems of oppression do not correspond simply to individual categories of difference. Intersectionality can enrich our understanding of diversity management as we seek to make our organizations more just. An important goal of diversity and inclusion initiatives is to turn action into lasting change. Managing diversity is more than adding a few women or people of minority racial groups into your organization. Diversity has to go deeper, and that means including intersectional analysis into the discussion of diversity management. An intersectional analysis of the ways in which we manage diversity can ensure fair treatment for employees and should cause us to think about all the ways in which we hire, promote, and manage people. We need to change the employment infrastructure entirely rather than bolting on a few diversity initiatives that lead unquestioned traditional employment practices within organizations. When organizations integrate intersectionality into their diversity initiative, they're more likely to undertake efforts to ensure that people with diverse voices and identities have a seat at the table when decisions are made. When people are able to bring their full selves to work and to express themselves accordingly, it's much more likely to genuinely create empathy for each other. Change doesn't happen overnight, and integrating intersectionality into diversity management is really challenging. However, if we want to create truly diverse and just organizations, we must adapt an intersectional perspective. Thinking about intersectionality makes moving through our workplaces together possible. Intersectionality seeks to understand how forms of oppression and discrimination intersect in ways that reinforce each other. Someone who is a black woman, for example, is not just black and not just a woman from the perspective of the others in her society or from the standpoint of how she understands her life experience. Rather, her experience can only be understood by considering how her race and sex together affect how she's seen and treated by others. The discrimination she is wrongly subject to based on her race intersects with the wrongful discrimination she experiences based on sex. If she's discriminated against because she's a black woman and then wants to pursue legal remedies, existing laws related to discrimination on the basis of a single variable are often inadequate to the task. Other forms of disadvantage, such as being gay in a society that's strongly homophobic, or being an undocumented immigrant, add to the complexities of personal identity and experiences of discrimination. Without the concept of intersectionality, we would not be able to name or to theorize about the multiple forms of disadvantage that some individuals face in society. Intersectionality as a concept reveals something that is highly relevant to understanding organizational diversity. Human experience cannot be neatly categorized on the basis of any one personal attitude or characteristic. There are many ways of categorizing how individuals differ in ways that lead to discrimination and disparate outcomes. Intersectionality focuses on how human differences intersect in ways that bring about suppression. The initial work in intersectionality came out of the experiences of black women in the US who were left out of their society in multiple ways. As people who were black, they experienced discrimination that was shaped by the historical experience of slavery and later Jim Crow laws. As women, they were left out of the power structures of a society that gendered social relations in a way that advantaged men. Intersectionality, as a conceptual framework, therefore, services power dynamics in a society and provides a fuller explanation for why some people are discriminated against. Much anti-discrimination regulation addresses single category level discrimination. However, a more fully developed analysis of power and powerlessness requires attention to intersectional analysis. When someone is being discriminated against, it's important to ask why. Power, or rather the lack thereof, is a critical explanation for why some people are treated well and others poorly. The challenge is to see how categories of difference intersect in ways that sustain existing power structure. As a relatively new construct, intersectional scholarship does not have a strong degree of convergence or an established methodology. Intersectionality is a powerful way of looking at the social environment. However, it's less clear what it's trying to explain, in part because the concept seems to be vague in its definition. Is it trying to provide a general theory of identity, describe how discrimination in society might be remedied, predict who will suffer discrimination in an organization? Intersectionality offers a potential way forward to study forms of discrimination and oppression in a society, but scholarship in this area needs to give more attention to increasing its explanatory power. Another critique of intersectionality is that it's fuzzy on which levels of analysis it seeks to be operative. It might seek to explain how particular individuals experience discrimination. Intersectionality might also be useful at the organizational level of analysis, seeking to understand how organizational systems and cultures affect the extent and basis of discrimination. Intersectionality focuses on the experience of those people who have been oppressed. However, it's important not only to focus on disadvantaged people, since this obscures the role of the powerful ones within sets of unequal social relations. In focusing on the experience of those who are harmed by discrimination and oppression, the actions of those whose behavior sustains discrimination and oppression are often left unaddressed. Intersectionality is a powerful way of conceptualizing and understanding oppression and discrimination. Intersectionality offers a critical framework for assessing who has privilege in organizations and who does not. Intersectionality has a myriad of dimensions and definitions, using different research paradigms. It's important in terms of a concept that can enrich scholarly work in diversity management in addition to organizational practice. Intersectional analysis can help make our organizations more inclusive by surfacing taken for granted ideas of what an ideal employee looks like, then developing hiring and promotion practices that ensure fair treatment for everyone. Organizations committed to fairness and inclusion could conduct internal intersectionality impact assessments, seeking to understand patterns of preference and prejudice that exist through the intersection of interpersonal differences. There is a critical need for diversity management scholarship and practice to integrate an intersectional perspective on discrimination in organizations. There's not an existing method for engaging in such analysis. However, intersectionality represents a frontier for diversity management research and practices and offers new perspectives on why discrimination persists. For the diversity manager, the starting point is to think in terms of who is favored in the organization and who's not.